Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that can really feel like a curveball, a default judgment. Basically, imagine a court ruling against you just because you didn't answer a lawsuit. It sounds, well, pretty serious.
It definitely feels serious, yeah. But it's not always, the absolute end of the story.
Okay.
Think of it like the court only heard one side. And that can happen for a few reasons, right? Maybe you genuinely weren't properly notified, legally served, as they say.
Right.
That's actually a big one.
Okay, so improper service.
Or, let's be honest, sometimes that legal paperwork shows up, looks complicated, and maybe you just hoped it might go away if you ignored it.
Happens more than people admit, probably.
Or you just didn't understand you had to respond formally. But whatever the reason, finding out you have one, that's step one. Action is needed.
Right. So what's the immediate game plan if this happens to, one of our listeners?
First thing, easier said than done maybe, but try to stay calm. Panicking won't help.
Okay, deep breath. Then what?
Then you need clarity. Get the actual default judgment document. You got to read it carefully. Understand exactly what the court is saying you owe or what you need to do.
Know what you're up against, basically.
Precisely. And right alongside that, think hard about how you first learned about the lawsuit itself.
Back to that service point.
Exactly. The rules for how you're supposed to be officially notified, served, are really specific. If they weren't followed, like papers just left on a doorstep you never check, or given to, say, a guest.
Not someone who actually lives there.
Right. That could be, well, a really important angle. Improper service is surprisingly common in these cases.
Okay, so that's a key thing to check. Now, navigating this seems tricky. Is this DIY territory?
I would strongly advise against going it alone. This is really where getting some legal advice is crucial.
Makes sense.
Think of an attorney as your navigator here. They can look at the specifics, the judgment, the service, your situation, and actually lay out your realistic options.
And what might those options be, typically?
Well, a very common step is filing something called a motion to vacate the judgment.
Vacate, meaning?
Meaning you're asking the court to cancel it, to set it aside. You're basically saying, hey, I had a valid reason for not responding on time. Let's undo this default and hear the case properly.
Okay, asking for a do-over.
Kind of, yeah. But, and this is critical, there are usually very strict deadlines for filing that motion.
The time crunch.
Yes. In some places, it might be as short as 30 days from when the judgment was entered, maybe a bit longer elsewhere, but never unlimited, so you absolutely cannot wait. Time is, like, immediately of the essence.
30 days is. Wow, that's not long at all.
Not at all. Which underlines why you need to move fast.
So if you decide to file that motion, what do you need to show the court?
Good question. You generally need two main things. First, a good reason why you missed the original deadline. Was it that improper service we talked about? A serious medical issue? Something else legitimate? You'll need evidence for that.
Proof for why you didn't respond. Okay.
And second, you usually need to show that you actually have a potential defense to the original lawsuit itself. The court wants to know that if they do vacate the judgment, you have a real case to argue, not just delaying things.
Gotcha. So a good reason for silence and a good reason to fight the case itself.
Exactly. So let's think about outcomes. Best case. Your motion works. The judgment is vacated.
Then what? Lawsuit just disappears.
No, not usually. It means the lawsuit essentially restarts. But this time, you get to participate, file your response, and present your defense. The default is gone.
Okay, so you get your day in court, so to speak.
Right. Now the other side, what if the court says no? Your motion to vacate is denied.
Then the default judgment stands.
Then it stands, yes. It's a valid court order. At that point, your options shift. You might try to negotiate with the person who sued you, maybe work out a payment plan for the amount owed to avoid things like wage garnishment or bank levies.
Try to manage the fallout.
Yeah. Or if the debt is really large and you just don't have the means, exploring bankruptcy might become, a last resort consideration.
It really highlights how ignoring official mail can spiral, doesn't it?
It really does. And it makes you think, doesn't it? How do you, personally, handle important-looking mail or documents? Do you open things promptly? Do you have a system? Or does stuff sometimes pile up?
That's a really practical takeaway. It's easy to put off things that look intimidating.
But the potential consequences, they're real.
So, wrapping this up then. A default judgment feels heavy, but it doesn't have to be the final word.
Definitely not.
The key takeaways seem to be act fast, figure out exactly what the judgment says, scrutinize how you were served.
And absolutely get legal advice to understand your options and those deadlines. Don't delay.
Right. It's about being proactive, even after the fact.
Precisely. It's a good reminder for all of us, really, to stay on top of important communications. It can save a lot of trouble down the road. Maybe take a moment to think about your own approach to those official-looking envelopes.
Good final thought. Thanks for breaking that down for us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If this podcast helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep making these videos. Thanks for watching.